All right. Well, so here we are today. We're going to talk about the Mandalorian, and today we have Josh joining us. Say a
Your
word,
boy,
you boy.
your boy over here, JC.
All right. So let's just get into it, right? Let's just jump
All
into it.
right.
So episode number one, chapter number one. Previous to this, we have not talked to each other at all. So we're just gonna start off strong with debate.
Yep.
I don't know what he likes, and I don't know what he dislikes. So
Uh,
why don't you start us off?
All right. So let's go with my first bullet point in my notes. I really like the way they established Mando as a character. Like he just walks in and beats the hell out of people. Like he
Yeah.
just shows up and is like, I'm the guy. It reminds me like it's part of the reason why I like I'm not gonna say other things, but I love establishing characters through actions more so than like, hey, that guy over there I heard is cool. No, I want to see him be cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wrote something similar down in my notes. I said it starts off really strong because, like you said, the dude he just walks in, takes a small group of dudes, and then walks out with the bounty. It is really straight, simple, and forward.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like it's nice. It's nice because usually you see like, oh, I'm getting on your nerves. They're trying to like in other shows and movies and whatnot. It's more like, oh, you shouldn't mess with me. You shouldn't like he's warning the other guys. No, he doesn't warn them. He just does it.
Yeah,
And so I really like that. That's a big selling point. And that I think got a lot of people hooked on the show. Is just that opening sequence.
and
Which
we'll get into this later, but I think that's a trend with the entire show is they try to start it off really, really strong like that, so then you're hooked for the rest of the episode. And sometimes it doesn't always work.
sometimes it works.
Yep.
Sometimes yeah.
Other times it's like,
So
okay.
yeah. So what about you? Do you like something? Because I don't want to just go off with my notes and then you piggyback and I want to give and take.
Yeah, no, no, no.
So
So
yeah.
I had the same thing, kind of strong. Um, it was a good way to introduce us to the character, especially since most of the Mandalorians, quote unquote, that we've seen, or people wearing the armor, they've mostly been bounty hunters. The only two in film were Jango and Boba. So, pretty strong way to start it off. What?
Eh, apparently in like I think in the Clone Wars, you're the one that watched it. I
Yeah,
didn't
that's why I
watch
said
it yet.
the characters we've seen wear the armor.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Um,
Because I was like, the paint me did not.
yeah. So
I
moving
think
from
I think
there,
Boba might be
it depends on Legends content. It depends.
because like we never see him when he has the armor take off the helmet.
Right.
So like he could potentially be a Mandalorian, but his father, Django, is clearly not. He takes off the helmet.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So moving forward from that planet, we see him just freeze the dude when he starts exploring his ship.
I love that. I love that they brought back carbonite freezing. Like
Yep.
I have that right here. I love it.
Yep. I
It's
thought that was
so
pretty
good.
cool.
It's a nice callback, you know. And it makes sense. It's a sensible callback.
So he goes and he picks up his reward, and from there we get our really jump start into the series. And so he goes and meets with we'll just call them Imperials, even though the Empire doesn't
Yeah.
exist. They're the Imperials.
Yeah, I have traces of Empire that are still lingering. They're still like there. So
Yep.
yeah.
Exactly. So we get these guys. No, this is one of those minor things that I complained about, but I don't know what the dude was going for, but I hated the way he talked. The Imperial guy. Absolutely
I
hated it.
didn't I didn't mind it. But you're also not a guy for accents though.
But
I
this
know
is one of those
you're not
times where
like
he's doing an accent, and you can't tell what accent he's trying to do. He's just talking funny, and
yeah, man,
I
it's
was
an
not
alien
sold.
accent. What do you mean? Like,
In a
well,
world
I
where we've
wasn't
only
that,
really seen British and American accents, it's just weird. It
yeah,
doesn't really fit in either one.
unless you want to call Yoda, whenever Yoda talks, some kind of accent, I guess.
I call that old people accent. That's what I call it.
Yeah, but Jesus, every time I press record on anything, my face starts itching. But uh, I never had a problem with that Empire dude, like with the whole Imperial Empire stuff. I actually really liked that there were like this is only 5 years after I'm pretty sure is
Yeah,
when the story to somewhere around there.
yeah, somewhere in
So
that effect.
yeah, so like I'm surprised they have such little. impact, really, like especially in the first episodes, that they have such little impact on what's going on because it pretty much just collapsed. So
Yeah,
like there still should be systems that are still loyal, all that stuff, or still should be because there's still that's part of it is like I like it, but I dislike how much there is. It's both in that gray area.
yeah, and I can definitely see
Yeah,
that, and that's something they definitely allude to throughout the series, definitely.
yeah.
So moving forward
On
from
that
there,
planet,
um,
what?
so he takes the tracking fob and he starts going off. He lands on whatever planet, and
Well, before that, I have like the armory scene though, when he's getting his Bhaskar armor for his shoulder plate.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I have the darn
I
thought I
feel
skipped it.
I hated that. I hated that.
Why?
I couldn't stand that. I felt very generic to me. Uh, and then also pairing it with a flashback, I would thought that was cheap. I thought it was cheesy. I did not like it. It was very. It just did not hit land for me.
See,
And I do like the armorer chick. I do like the armorer. She is fine. I like her as a character.
same.
But that scene, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I
So my
couldn't. Something
thoughts,
about it just didn't fit with it. And I think it was mainly because of the flashbacks.
my thoughts on that are similar but different. Um, I want to
Gotcha.
see more Mandalorian, because apart from like the Clone Wars or Rebels cartoons, if you're just coming into the Mandalorian show only having seen the movies, you know nothing about them. So that's what I wanted from this
Yeah,
show was exposition. Tell me about the Mandalorians. Make me care that this dude is a Mandalorian.
exactly. Yeah.
So that's what I wanted from that armorer scene, and my thoughts were similar in the aspect that I thought it was a weak. I thought it was a weak intro to other Mandalorian characters and
Yeah.
his history, especially since they basically recycled those flashbacks over the next couple of times. We do have flashbacks from him, and so ultimately they play it all the way until the end.
Yeah. And I also have other issues with the flashbacks that don't pop up until later, so I'm not going to talk about those yet. But the like because I'm only coming in. I haven't like I watched the Clone Wars, but that's when it was an initial run. That was because I was awake at Saturday and I turned it on, and it was Star Wars. I wasn't really paying attention, you know what I mean? But so I'm coming into it just knowing the movies. Mandalorian's just from the movies, which isn't really anything.
Yeah, it's just like the
Yeah,
dude wears a helmet,
yeah,
and it's not
and
even
that's
it's
pretty
not
much
even
it.
that. It's just the dude wears a special armor.
Yeah, yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Other than that, like I come into the show, I was like, oh, this is going to tell me about Mandalorian, and with the establishing shot, which is what we talked about, the establishing fight, that told me pretty much everything I need to know about what they are, like kind of like how they operate. But I never knew like the show doesn't really do a good job in telling us what they are, if you know what I'm saying.
Definitely.
And in this episode, they really should have. They really should have like told us, hey, these are what Mandalorians are. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
this is why they are such a high commodity. Just, just hard, man.
Yep. So moving on, we get to the planet where ultimately he
Mm-hmm.
finds the child and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I thought
Ognot and whatnot.
I liked our introduction to the Ugnaught. I thought that was cool. The
Mm-hmm.
only times I remember seeing them in movies is during episode 5 during Cloud City because they
Yeah.
take apart
Yep.
C-3PO or whatever. Um, but overall, I thought this scene was pretty much a waste of time as far as like the training montage to ride the blurgs.
Yeah, I
Um,
said it was a poor attempt at comic relief.
yeah,
Like I could see that that's what they were trying to go for, and it just again it didn't land. I felt like a Mandalorian from it should have a kind of idea of how to wrangle them.
hmm,
You know what I mean? Like because it is a master class warrior, so it should like I understand that there's difficulties in wrangling different animals. Like I'm not going to compare saying wrangling a horse is the same as riding a bull,
right.
but I'm saying that you should like some skills should be comparable over it, so you have some idea. And it seems like he just didn't have an idea of what to do, and it,
Well,
it was a problem.
apart from that, my problem with it was just it wasted screen time because he says Ugnaught says you have to ride blurgs to get across the field or whatever to get to the village where the child
Yeah,
is or whatever. However, the next episode, he definitely just walks with Baby Yoda back to the Ugnaught or whatever.
yeah.
So it's kind of
And
like,
it's also like,
did
why
he
couldn't
need
he
a
just
blurg?
fly there?
You said what?
Why couldn't he just fly a ship there?
Yeah, like it's just kind of thrown in. I didn't care for it.
Yeah, it was poor attempt at. I feel like that's what it was trying to be. It was trying to be comic relief, and it was just poor attempt.
Yeah,
It didn't work. But once he gets on the blurg and goes, now we're back into it. The strong part of it. I feel like when we get back and when we meet the child, like right before that, when we meet IG-11, that way there was where the show kicks back up again, kicks it up a notch again. I feel like
definitely.
that scene, seeing an IG-11, because the only time we ever seen him in movies was just in episode 5 standing on a ship.
Yep,
Like that's it. It doesn't
yep,
do anything. Seeing it actually in action was nice, and it was like, oh, that's why it was standing on that ship. You
yep.
know what I mean? Like it was nice. I
Which
like the
leads us
shootout.
to the end of the episode. So overall, I thought it was really good. Like you said, it kind of pays off at the end where it slowed down in the middle.
Yeah,
At the end, it really picks up, kind of out of nowhere, and everything just kind of goes nuts. Now, something
yeah.
I would have done differently, and this ties into what happens later on, but ultimately, um, I would have written IG-11 differently so that he had the dual option, like Mando, bring in the child or kill him, because, and I'll get into more of the killing the child stuff later, but that was just weird to me because Mando was the only one given the bring back alive option from what we understand based on how the other bounty hunters are acting. And I didn't like that. I thought that
Yeah.
was a little weird. Um, but yeah, I would have written him differently so that he would have actually had like a buddy cop relationship more or less with Mando, and they would have teamed up more throughout the series.
Well, I liked it because I think even in this episode, you see that Mando's distrust towards droids. Like even back on
Exactly.
when he's going to his ship with the initial bounty with
Hmm.
the blue dude,
Yep.
blue man group. When he's going there, you see he doesn't want droids. He'll take a crappy rundown speeder rather than a fresh, shiny new one that's run by a droid. So seeing him like not teaming up and him turning on that droid, I thought was in character for him. Well, turning on the droid, saving his bounty was really what he was doing. But
Right. Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
What I meant though, and like I said, it ties into the later on. It ties into episode 8, is why I said that because
yeah.
things at the end of episode 8, it like I feel like it's a little rushed on his feelings and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. I feel like there's in some places there's rushed. Like that's like I have like all the problems you're saying right now, but
Yep.
later on because I'm taking it by episode. Like and I like it's like I could be like whatever. I'm not gonna lie. But
Yeah.
but like in the
So
show overall, sometimes they rush things fast, and then the other things
definitely.
that you wish they would rush, they're like, nah, let's pump the brakes.
Which one
And
is
it's
it? Yeah, episode 4. That episode felt really rushed. But we'll get into that. So overall, the story started off pretty good, but everything was really vague, kind of how you want a first episode to be, really. So no complaints there. First episode was pretty
yeah,
good, but like I said, it
just
slowed down a lot in the middle,
yeah, I'd give
kind
it
of
a
no
seven
reason.
out of 10. I'd give it a 7 out of 10, be honest, because that slowdown in the middle.
Right.
But the action sequences are big enough. They are strong enough. Pat Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, he I like it. I like his mannerisms. I like that all. So like the good outweighs the bad in this episode. I feel like,
True. Yep.
but not so much where it's like, oh, it's amazing or it's really good. I think it's a nice introduction, and usually shows they take an episode or two to find the win.
Right.
So for the first episode, solid, nice starting point.
All right. So getting into episode 2, kind of already said this, but yeah, the beginning of the episode kicks off with them, walking back to Ugnaugh's camp. So so much for blurgs.
And with the Boskin bounty hunting fight scene,
Yeah. Okay.
I
So on that note,
I hated it.
between the IG unit and the boss alien, it's obvious that others were hired to kill the child and not take him in.
Yeah,
So why? That goes back into what I was saying last episode.
I was saying that this bounty hunter fight scene, for me, I saw it coming.
Yeah.
Because if this is such a valuable target, obviously there's going to be others coming, and we've seen the other with the IG-11.
Yep.
So if I'm a bounty hunter and there's really no set timetable, I'm just not going to risk myself going in there. I'll just take out the bounty hunter after a fight that does grab it. So like I could see that coming from a mile away. I do like that it's like multiple Boskin, whatever the hell they're called. I think they're called Boskin.
They're
Multiple.
they're
I
called like
I think there's like
Tradorians
two
or
or
something.
three though. But like I like that because it does show the Mandalorian again as a BA. So I like that, but it's predictable,
Yeah,
which is a tone that you'll hear me repeat throughout the thing of this show.
I could
It's
see that.
predictable and it's just not. It's not, but it does. Does he go to Ugnaughts? Wait, yeah, he goes to Ugnaughts right after that, doesn't he? And
Trandoshan is
he's
what
like,
they're called. That's their species.
oh,
That's
I
really
just,
really weird.
yeah, I'm just
Bosk
gonna
is
call him Boston.
Bosk is specifically the one from episode 5.
Yeah. All right, whatever.
Um,
But
but yeah, going to back to that. So obviously they're gonna pay Mando more for bringing in the child alive, right?
yes.
Why why even hire him if they're gonna hire every other bounty hunter to kill the child?
All right, I don't know whether they said to bring it in alive specifically. No, they said to bring it in alive or dead or alive, but alive is much more valuable.
Right, and he's
I,
paying him in
yeah,
freaking Beskar speed.
yeah, yeah, which I think like all these other guys, all these other bounty hunters, they probably got the same message. That they're like bringing it alive is too much work, whatever or whatever, what have you. Like it's not big of a deal. I understand them hiring as many people as possible because it's a high value target. We want it.
Right.
I do have a problem with if they truly want it alive, they shouldn't hire a lot of people because then you might get into gunfights and endanger the child, the baby
Right, because
Yodas. Yeah,
we see the Boskins are losing the fight, so one of them tries to off the kid before he gets killed.
yeah, and it doesn't that part doesn't make sense. It just some parts make sense, others don't. So even
Yeah.
just thinking about it, it doesn't. And that, yeah,
All right, so I'm gonna be kind of a savage and just kind of wrap up episode 2. You can say more if you want after this, but
yeah. All right.
ultimately, I thought episode 2 was completely pointless, other than showing
Yep.
that the child is force sensitive, which they could have done any
I
number of things to show that he was force sensitive. So
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I thought the episode overall felt like a side quest that just didn't need to be
Yep.
there. And
Yep.
that's the thing you'll hear me say a couple times because overall, this show plays out like a video game.
Yeah.
Only about
This
half of the episodes actually give you plot development or any kind of
plot.
like serious
Yeah.
character development.
I feel like this episode is main to set up like Ugnaughts return later on in the series.
Right.
This so that his helpfulness with Mando, all that stuff like that. Uh, but the Jawas, I liked the fact that they scrapped it. I like that fight sequences because it kind of reminds me of Endor in a way. Like, oh, like Ewoks shouldn't be able to handle stormtroopers. Well, no, it's their home turf. They know the lay of it, and that's what I kind of fight. Like their track or whatever the hell they call it, their ship, their
Yep.
land ship. It's their home turf. Somebody's trying to invade it. They're going to defend it. I like that. But overall, yeah, this like the Jawa egg quest bullshit. Sorry
Don't
for
worry about it.
swearing, but like that was stupid. Yeah, that was stupid. I thought that was idiotic and pointless. Baby Yoda using the Force, I was not a fan of. I was like, it was just the whole episode was just like it was 40 minutes of filler, and I thought I was watching a live action, not an anime.
Yep. Yep.
And it was like, oh, come on, man.
So
And
I
that
think
pretty
we're
much
done
wraps
with
up
episode
my
2.
thoughts.
So
Yeah,
moving on to chapter 3. I actually have a lot more notes on this one. No,
same.
actually,
I give
medium.
episode 2 very negative review.
Yeah, episode 2 was, and the crazy
There just
part of,
wasn't going on.
yeah, the crazy part to me was it was around episode 2/3 when obviously all the memes came out because the weapon is part of my religion thing, and then Baby
Yeah.
Yoda doing some stuff. Um,
Hmm.
but that's also around the time when everybody was like, "Oh, it's the greatest show ever," and just like
Yeah.
mad
And
hype.
it was like,
It's like,
no,
bro,
that's where it went
what are
down
you
for me. It was
watching?
hard for me. Like I remember I watched the first two episodes when the show came out, when I got Disney Plus. And I had no I did not want to pick the show back up. I was done with it. I was like, it's not for me. Until you said, hey, Josh, let's do a review on it. You know what I mean? And so I was like, all right, fine, I'll give it another watch. Let's try to get into it. And it just it when your show, because shows, like I said earlier, it should be episode one or two should hook you. Episode one, it might be a little rough. Episode two is where they should find their running spot, is where they should go up. And the fact that it went down is tough. And it's like hard for me. It was hard for me to get back in, but episode three did, though. So that's where we're at now. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So this is gonna come up, I think, one more time. But again,
Right.
I just didn't like the way this dude talked. I just didn't like it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I got you.
it.
I feel you.
um,
I loved, I loved that scene though. Love that initial scene where he just goes in there and he just like, here you go, here's Baby Yoda, here's the child, give me my money. You know what I mean? I liked it. It was not like it was. He didn't have a personal attachment to it. It didn't seem like I wrote here at the time. I was hoping it was the end of Baby Yoda. Like I just didn't want to see him no more
same.
because I was like, oh, he turned in his bounty. He's a bounty hunter. I just want to see bounty hunting. So
Pretty much.
I really liked him just be like, what's happening to the child? Who cares? You got your money. All right. You know what I mean? Like, I was hoping that that's what it was going to be like. And, like, that perpetuated throughout the show of why I started disliking the show more and more. But, like, I like that it was just like, it was strictly business. It was like, I did this. Here's my money. Give me it. And then that leads us into the Mandalorian people,
Yes.
which,
So I
which, go on.
I was gonna say I really enjoyed this because this time his interactions with the other Mandalorians actually gave us a little more exposition on him,
Yeah.
especially when he's kind of standing toe to toe with I think they called him Mandalorian Heavy. At least
Yeah.
that's
But
what they
I
called
don't
in the
know.
subtitles, I think.
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of like getting in each other's faces, and the armorer's like, "Y'all being stupid," and then they're just kind of like,
Yeah.
"Yeah," they just sit
Yeah,
down.
and we also see like how the importance of this Beskar steel is to the
Right.
culture of people. Like when he walks in with all this stuff, they're all like turning their heads, like, "Oh, look
Yep.
at this guy." You know what I mean? Because it like, oh, this is, and it does. I love this scene because it does give us what we were talking about earlier, some backstory of Mandalore,
Yep.
some little histories. It talks about the Great Purge, the downfall of Mandalore. It talks about like when he's going toe to toe, he's like, "You got this from Imperials, Great Purge, all that." It makes sense. The exposition is good exposition. It's not
Yep.
clunky. It's like you're not a roommate, or I don't know if they said that at that point, but it's like I could tell, like even like finishing the series and going back and like putting it to it, you can tell that he's like, you're not one of us necessarily. You don't understand us. And the armor is like, no, we're all the same. Who cares? So that's why I kind of really like the armor too. I love that character. That character is a solid character.
Yeah.
But I love that scene where they go back down in the armory, where the Bastard Steel, where they're talking about Mandalore's history, when they're saying all this stuff. It's good. It's solid. It's
Yep.
nice.
Yep. The only thing I wish they would have done a little bit more with, so she talks about the signet, right?
Yeah.
I wish they would have given us a little more than just, "Hey, do you have one yet?" And it's like, "No," and it's like, "Okay." Like
Like
what?
kind of like the importance of an signet is.
Yep. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know, like, is it? I mean, obviously he's killed other things, so why is it just now that
Yeah.
he's getting one, and for some random bull he killed, basically, or rhino, or whatever you want to call it? I just thought
Yeah,
that was kind
and
of weird.
and that being said, like I would assume maybe it's like you only get it if it damages your Baskar armor. I
Actually, I hadn't
guess
thought of that.
maybe,
Maybe.
but like, and I see that like it makes sense. Like this is strong enough to damage that, so and you took that down, you get that as your signature. Like I get it, but if that's not it, I assume that he's killed multiple other creatures that almost killed him because either in training or in practice, like actually out in the field. You know what I mean? So like
Right.
you would have like in future episodes, there's those birds that attack him.
Yep.
You know when they can't like birds. I don't really know what they look like, lizard birds. I don't know, but
Something big.
like like I'm assuming that they probably they got attacked by something like that probably earlier. Why isn't that as its signet? Why is it this fucking bowl? My bad again. But why is it this bowl or whatever? Like it doesn't make sense.
Yep. You got
And
anything
then
else on the Mandos?
uh, I have like Mando the character. We don't learn his name until later. So Mando, I got some things, but like when he's down there, when he's getting his armor and all that, like again, I go to that flashbacks. I don't like it.
Hmm.
It sets off extreme. It I've seen that exact same backstory in Star Wars before. That exact same thing in Rogue One.
Mm. Yeah.
I've seen literally the same thing. They're under attack, they run, they hide in a bunker, and they get saved by somebody else that takes them under their wing. In in Rogue One, she gets saved by Forrest Whitaker. I can't remember his name, like in the movie, but Forrest Whitaker's character saves her, and then she goes under his wing. And this one, it's a Mandalorian. Like I've seen this, like, and this is the part where it's like I want something new, and like I know that you're like, oh, well, like it's not like I want something new as in I want something new in movies or TV. I want something new as in this character should be a new character. I don't want to see leftover pieces from other characters just thrown into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I
So
hadn't
like
thought of it that way, but I
if
didn't
you would
like
have just
Rogue
kept
One.
on running, I would have been fine with that. If you just ran away and just bumped into Mandalorians and they picked him up from there, I would have been much happier with that than him going into a bunker.
Yeah. Because when you point it out
You
like
know?
that, it's almost like a shot for shot type thing.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, man. Like it's even if you steal from if Disney, because Disney owns Star Wars now, if Disney steals from Disney, I'm fine with that. But if Star Wars steals from Star Wars, that's when I'm like, come on, really, come on. Like this isn't even, and especially when it's Disney Star Wars stealing from Disney Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like you should know that like if you steal from episode 2 or something, fine. Like that's Fox made that one. That's George Lucas made that. But you're stealing from Rogue One. That's your second movie that Disney made. Come on.
Yep.
And it just annoyed the crap out of me.
Yep.
But other than that, uh, for the Mandalorians, that's pretty much it for the Mandalorians, though.
All right. Yep. So moving on. Next we see Mando meeting in the bar with Garif. Now, I really like this
Yep.
because Garif is just like, well, who cares about that baby? You got more money coming your way, and I thought that was really cool. Like you
Like he's
mentioned earlier
again,
about Mando doing the same thing, basically.
yeah, he's just again like it's business, baby. Business is booming, and
Yep.
that's what he's happy
Yeah.
about.
Yep. I really like that. And then from there, I don't really have any notes until the end of the episode.
I have a note in that scene where he's like, where Grief, my bad. He's talking and he's like, well, if you have a problem with it, report it to the New Republic. And Mando saying the New Republic is a joke.
Yep.
I love that because like it's a nice saying. It's like but it also like if you put it in context in the rest of the universe, which I know is kind of a little touchy subject and whatnot, but if you do, like you can see that like even the people think this New Republic is a joke. So seeing like say in this new trilogy, you can see kind of how the First Order might win over the people. Like it is a strong thing. So I kind of like that.
I can see that. Yeah. I hadn't
Yeah.
thought of that.
Yeah. So and then there's the battle scene at the end.
Yep. That was what I was
Yeah.
saving for.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Oh wait, yeah. I like the battle scene because you can see that Mando has distaste for the Empire. He doesn't like them, and you can see that. Like you can tell, like even with the Mandalorians, because that history and all that, like we just learned when they were in the army scene, that yeah, they're the ones that messed up that planet. So you
Yep.
see, like, oh, I don't have that, and then also the feelings with like giving the regret feeling or what have I have other feelings because I'm not sure regret is the right word, but giving Baby Yoda away,
Yeah.
like you can see both of those feelings propel him through this fight when he's fighting this legion of stormtroopers. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Wild.
this is nice. This is a good scene.
So,
And,
doubling back on what you just said, it's wild to me. It really is. It's wild to me that the Imperial dude was basically bragging to the dude, like, yeah, I don't know why your planet was like so resistant of us. We would have made them great, but we just killed them all. And it's like you're saying this to the dude, like he's gonna kill you. Like it blew my mind
yeah,
that he even said something like that to him.
it just
And then he does it again in
nobody
episode
ever
eight.
said the Empire was smart.
Yeah, no, that's true. Nobody said it was. Nobody said they were smart.
Except the Empire. The Empire might have said that, but like nobody said they were smart. But I loved that fight sequence, the raid. I called it a raid on this base, on the hideout for this empire, the imperial hideout, whatever. I love that raid because it was like the odds were heavily stacked against them because there's unknown number of stormtroopers.
Yep.
You only know that there is at least four. Like you're going in there, he knows that there's at least four, but there's more in there as you watch it, and you see him take them out in various different ways. I like it. It's using improvisation, combat tactics, and training. It's nice.
Something that's not actually in my notes. Um, it's crazy to me to think about how fast he uses. What are they called? The whistling something or another's.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the
the
armorer tells him, like, be careful, these are rare, and he's using them within the same
exactly.
episode. Kara and I
And
thought
it's
that was funny.
the fact is that he uses all of them too.
Supposedly, because he uses them more throughout the series, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, and it's like I think he's only surrounded by like four or five dudes. Like
Yep.
just send out the number that there are appointing you. You don't need to send out 15. You just need to send out four.
Yep.
And you stab them in the face. Like there are, we have seen stormtrooper armor is apparently not that strong,
Nah, dude. We'll see
and
that again
apparently
in
it's just
episode
like
eight.
wearing a t-shirt. Yeah, apparently it's just like wearing a t-shirt. So, which that's a problem with Star Wars in general, but
Definitely.
yeah, not this. Like I can't fault this show for something that's been established.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Um.
it's
So after his
that
raid,
and
so after
yep.
his raid, we
After his
see
raid,
like his escape, right? And then the bounty hunters all chasing him.
yeah, the bounty is reactivated for. Yeah, I love that. Like as soon as he escapes, the bounty's on. Let's go.
Yep.
It's on again. And it's good.
Um, so I really like this, and I dislike it at the same time. I like it in the
Same.
respect that obviously all the Mandalorians show up, and they're like, they just
Yep.
start wasting everybody, and he escapes.
Yeah, because it's like they're looking out for Mandalorians too. They're not really caring about what the fallout's going to be. It's like one of our guys is in trouble. We're going to help that guy.
Right.
And I
So
like that. Yeah.
my issue with it though is Mando specifically tells the heavy. That's just what I'm going to call him. Specifically tells the
Yep.
heavy, like, hey, you guys are going to have to move now, and he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. This is the way, drive on.
This is the way.
But that becomes a problem later on in the series, as we'll get to.
Yeah.
And it's like, why were they still there? And it's just like, this is obviously they just exposed themselves. I mean, this doesn't seem like it should have happened. And
Yeah. Either
but
they
we'll get
should
to
have.
that later.
Yeah. I have a problem with that because I have a problem with this right here. At the fact that Grief gets shot in the chest
Yep.
and is saved by I'll try to go up to see saved by something right here. Now, this is a big problem for me because like me, like I would assume, like I know you have, Like we watch comic book stuff, we watch Star Wars stuff, we watch all this other stuff. So there's another show that in the first couple episodes, there's a character named Micro, right? Now, if you're not knowing what show this is, it's the
Punisher?
Punisher.
Yep.
He is saved by a phone right here on his chest.
Oh,
Literally the
yep.
exact same spot by a bullet. And I'm like, no. Like I understand like I don't have a problem really with that. I just found parallels with that, so I found it funny. I have problems with the fact that he survived. Like I have problems with no, just kill the dude. Just just have him be dead. Have some other guy take his spot. Have like I understand like he has history with Mando, all this stuff, right? I understand all that, and I understand that it's going to be kind of hard to have that chemistry with other people to put them together. But I would much rather it be like if he's going to go against the guild, the Bounty Hunters Guild, and Grief is he's either the guild leader or he's the guild leader at this post, right?
Right. You can obviously tell
So
he's got some kind of high rank within the
yeah,
guild.
so take him out, and then you see a bigger problem with the guild. But no, he doesn't, and I just have a problem with that.
Also, why did he
Like
have
him doing that, and
Beskar?
then I just draw parallels. What?
Why did he have Beskar? I don't remember him revealing some during his
Yeah,
meeting.
he does.
First, Beskar
Yeah,
was
he does
revealed, I
reveal
thought,
it.
when he meant with the Imperial.
No, he when he gets his payment and goes back to the meeting, right? And he's like, "Oh, what's going to happen to the child?" Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Who cares? I got paid too." And he shows in the chest that he has Beskar armor because apparently that's very
Uh,
valuable. That's like, and I'm fine with that being valuable and whatnot. Like, okay, fine, cool,
Makes
it's
sense.
valuable. Yeah. So like, it does like it makes sense of why he has it there. I just don't like the fact that
It saved him.
yeah, it saved him. Like I understand it shows you the strength of armor, Beskar armor,
Yep.
but it's just like that's an easy cop out. You know, if you want to keep a character around, keep him around. Don't try to cop out. Don't do that. And I felt like it was a cop out.
I would agree. All right.
Yeah, and then
I gotta take a.
that was
Is that all for episode chapter 3?
yeah, that's all for episode 3 for me.
All right.
Really,
We're gonna take a quick break so I can use the restroom, and then we'll jump back into it.
over here.
Recording.
All right.
All right. So kicking off with chapter 4. Open this up.
Over that Mando's on the run. He's searching for a hiding place. I think he finds a great logical hiding place. I like the hiding place he finds. It's a distant planet far away from civilization
Yep.
because there's obviously civilization there, but it's not like big enough. Instead of trying to do what the normal tactic would be, which is like, I'm going to hide under their noses in plain sight. You know what I mean? Like, I like the fact that he's like, no, we're getting as far away from these guys as possible.
Yep.
So I really like that. And it does lead us beautifully into, I think, the strongest character in the show, Cara Dune. I think she is the strongest character in the show. And it leads us into a great back alley fight. Back alley brawl is what I called it.
Yeah.
I think it does give us into a great one where it's Cara versus Mando. They are shown pretty much as equals in skill, which a lot of people have problems with, and I would see why, because it's like a Mandalorian and it's just like a rebel shock trooper. And I'm like, no, that's a rebel soldier. Like it's a soldier. Like they're both soldiers. Like I understand that they're both equals and all that. Then they have mutual respect and all that. Like we learn that she's a shock trooper. All that. I love the opening first like 10 to 15 minutes of this episode. It's nice.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just to back it up a little bit. So the opener, yeah, I think the opener either to the episode or like after the intro is with those farmers being attacked. And like I
Yeah.
said before, that's like a reoccurring thing with this show is they started off with some action to just kind of rope you in, and then they hit that
Yep.
slow part in the middle. I more or less thought it worked for this episode. It was like at first it's like, why are we seeing these people? And then it's like, oh, well, this is the
Yeah.
planet he's going to, and it's like, okay, I see that.
Yeah. I thought of it reversed though. like how you said they usually started off with a big action sequence and then they slow it down. I thought the big action sequence at the beginning, it did not hook me. It was the slower parts of this episode really got at me, really like that intrigued me. The actual like, oh, the learning of everything, the slowdown that's just taught. I thought that was much more effective in this episode than the action, to be
Right.
honest. And in this show, I was really looking into it like this is going to be an action show. This is just going to be high octane action, and I really enjoy this. Like for a lot of the times in this show, I enjoy it slowing down, taking its time, breathing, not just going from action to action to action. No, like setting up action sequences, and I thought this show did great.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
this episode, I should say.
so I have it written down here. So more or less, this is the same as episode two in the sense that it doesn't do anything for the plot. Other like this one, okay,
It,
it does more in the sense that um, it's the very end. Well, yeah, at the very end, obviously the bounty hunters find him, but also
mhm.
it shows. I don't know if it even really shows Mandalorian's reluctance for being a Mandalorian because at first I kind of thought so. You know, he's there.
Yeah,
He's like, yeah, this form life is pretty great. You know, I don't have to worry about it killing anybody killing me. Like this is really nice. But ultimately, he
yeah,
rejects it at the end. So it's like,
yeah.
well, does he have that kind of like push and pull, or is he just kind of like wishy washy with it?
I think it was more like his ties to his old life because in this episode we find I have right here as something I didn't like. We find that he's not a born Mandalorian. He's a foundling, as they call him later on in the series. He was
Yep.
a foundling. Like that just didn't vibe with me. But maybe that was like kind of the old ties that he had to his previous life. Like his previous life, I'm assuming his parents weren't that like soldiers or whatnot. They were just normal people in this world or
Right.
in this universe, whatever. So like maybe he was like, I can finally just settle down, go with this woman, which I don't think we ever got a name with, but I would like to see more of that woman like in the show. I would because it's enough. She was vaguely interesting. She was vague enough to be like that piques my interest.
Yep.
But like I see that he's like, hey, maybe I could just not worry about it. I got this kid now with Baby Yoda, and
Right.
maybe I could just settle down and not worry about not doing anything. But he does end up rejecting it. He does like, it's not for me. I'm a Mandalorian, all that stuff.
Yep.
This episode though is again, like you said, it's filler.
Yep.
It does introduce us to Kara, which I think is the strongest character. But other than that, this doesn't really do anything. It shows us like Kara's like expertise, I guess,
Yep.
and it's just not like I don't have problems with this at all. Like watching it, like I watched it and I liked the fight sequences. I like the tracking sequences. I like them being like, oh, that's an ATST. Oh, you know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
can't really handle an ATST. I like how everything works, but this episode doesn't do anything.
Yep. It's just kind of there, and
It
that's my
just
feeling on
doesn't.
most of the show.
It's like this is like ice cream. This episode. It tastes nice and it's nice to eat, but what are you getting out of it? Not really anything, you know what I mean? There's no nutritional value really to ice cream. And that's what I feel like this episode is. It's like that. Like, yeah, it's fun to eat, but it's not giving you anything. Unless you're lactose intolerant, then it's giving you something, but that's not a good thing.
And so we mentioned this earlier, as a matter of fact, how some things are just, it feels fast. And the training of these villagers and stuff, it feels way fast, man. Like, it doesn't, so one of my problems with the show overall, and I'll get more into it later, is timing. So they don't explain a lot of,
Yeah.
like, the timetables throughout the show. So, like, today, it's, it's almost implied, I would say, that it just kind of takes place, the training anyway, takes place over a day. Am I off on
Yeah.
that?
No, like I would say a day at most. At most, I would give it 5 days to a week at most. But I would, if I was a betting man, I would put it on a day. You know what I mean? If I would say 80% would be like I'm 80% sure it's a day. Other than that, it could be like you could make a case. Oh, it's a week. Fine. But them being trained up, like I said, when the woman from the village was the one that was like piquing my interest, the one that knew how to fight, the one that was like, "Hey, has anybody shot a gun before?" She
Hmm.
raised their hand. She was like, "I have," and like she's being just a legitimate BA beaming the target dead center. I was like, this is something interesting. I want to learn more about her. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that was, and the fact that they didn't like continue that, like I was, I wanted to learn more about her. But other than like they just train them all up, and they're like, I understand they're not fighting against maybe the most skilled opponent. Like, okay, fine. They're raiding a farming village that has no way to defend themselves. Like, yeah, I'm assuming they're not the most skilled people because if they were, like, this farming village might not have the best things, but they have things. Like, the best things would be more armored, you know what I mean? They'd have more things to fight back. So I'm assuming these guys don't have a lot of tools other than the ATST. So, like, I'm fine with saying they train up enough, but it would have to be to train up to be at least decent at a gun in real life. It takes at least 2 to 3 weeks to get confident enough to know what you're shooting at to be in a fight. Like I've only shot guns hunting, and it took me a while. And to shoot geese, man, you got to shoot fast, and you got to shoot, and you got to reload fast. It took me a while to get that handle down with a shotgun, loading it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it took me a while. And so these guys like unloading clips and all that stuff in a day, it doesn't feel like it doesn't fit. At least for me, coming from a hunters. Maybe like for you with the military, I don't know how they train you,
Same
but
thing.
it doesn't fit. It doesn't feel like there's enough time
Yep.
to get used to these weapons.
Yeah. So that
Unless
timing
you
thing was just
the
kind of
sticks,
weird.
okay, you got used to the sticks pretty fine. Spears, fine. You got used to them pretty fast. Okay, fine. That's just jab. You know what I mean? But the guns, I'm like,
So that was one of my highlights. The next thing I had, so after their training montage or whatever, they sneak into the Raiders camp and they and place a bomb, to get to
yeah,
distract them or whatever. Why didn't they just blow up the walker from the beginning if that was their plan? They obviously
yeah.
snuck in with no
Why
issue.
didn't they? Why didn't they just go all Anakin on him?
Yeah, just middle of the night
Like,
murder.
why not?
Why not? I guess.
You
Yeah.
got him by surprise. You already killed a couple getting in there. Just keep
Exactly.
going.
Yeah, just snowball.
Like if you take them all out, there is no problem with them coming back because at the end of the show, right, they retreat. They all retreat when the ATST gets in the trap, which I will talk about that later. But they retreat if you just kill them all. Everybody's saved now.
Exactly. Like
Like
you could
there's
have
no
just could have
worry
blown up
anymore.
the walker from the get go. And if you wanted to
Yeah,
say,
there's no.
oh, it was dark, they couldn't see the walker. Mando has like butt device vision, right?
Yeah,
He's using his little gauntlet
yeah.
thing. He's got different like
He at
ways of
least
visioning
has
things.
he at least has thermal vision
Exactly.
because when and and you'd think that something of that value would have some type of guards heavily guarded enough. You know what I mean? Like maybe these raiders aren't the smartest, but they would have somebody posted. You know what I mean? Because that's just logical. So that'd be easy to find. You got these bombs, blow it up. Find it, blow it up.
Yep.
But it does lead, but the fact that the ATST didn't get blown up goes into something I actually really liked, which I said the trap. The trap that they dug for the ATST. They did say,
Yes.
we're digging this.
And I love how the
I
shock
like
trooper
the
baited it. Oh, so
yeah,
good.
I that's what I'm saying. I like the fact that it did not work how they intended it to work.
Yep.
They're like, we're just going to shoot at it and it's going to come. But no, it realized, no, I got to stop. So the shock trooper car, she had to improvise and get it to come to her. So she ran up into the trap pit and shot, well, not into the trap pit, but in pretty much the kill zone
Yeah.
and get up there and bait it into going in there. And I really like that. It shows improvise. It shows tactical intelligence. on
Yep.
her part. Like it shows like she knows what she's doing. She kind of knows how to fight these things. I don't like that was the ATST controlled by a droid
It's just one of those things. It's just kind of weird. I don't know, man. There's barely shown to have
because
like
it
there's barely
clearly wasn't
technology on the planet to
controlled.
begin with.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it was controlled by the Raiders because
Um,
there's nobody
isn't
in
doesn't
the
she shoot one of the raiders? Isn't that part of how she
like
baited
no
it?
because no, she shoots the eye. There's nothing in it. Like the eye thing collapses down. Like the shield, the eye shield or whatever now, it collapses down. I'm pretty sure, but it's just the inside is just red. It's just a red light.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering, what is that? Is this like just it's evil now, and that's why it's like it's always been evil for one. But like why? What like what's controlling this? If it's a droid, fine. I'm fine with it being a droid because we've seen in the movies that a droid could do this with BB-8. A droid can
Oh
control
man,
an ATST. We've
yeah,
seen that it can happen. Like I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying that that makes sense. We've seen that it happen.
yep.
But we don't know that. Like there's no. Why would a droid be help? If they got a droid, I would assume it would be an Imperial droid because they got the Imperial ATST. Why would this droid be helping out these raiders? And if the raiders, why would a droid be helping out these raiders at all? And it doesn't. It just doesn't. It lands flat for me. The ATST. It just. I like things that they do with it, but I don't like it as a premise.
Yeah, I also so it's really funny. They even address it in the story. They're like, "Where did it come from?" And then nobody has an answer for it, and it's just kind of like, "Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
here, so just deal with it, cause plot." And it's like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
we're just gonna fight this for some reason, I guess." So to backpedal just a little bit, I thought the cinematography in this episode was really, really good. More specifically,
Yeah.
the nighttime scene wasn't too dark, and that's something
Yeah.
a lot of shows and movies lately have had issues with. And I really liked
They
how
they do
they
have
included it in
that
this
in this
episode.
show too. They have nighttime scenes that are too dark that you're not really showing what we're
Definitely
seeing.
episode 8, which we'll get to.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel that this episode was really nice. That even when the people are in the water, like either it's a car or if it's the mom and her child at the opening sequence, like
Yep.
even when they're in the water, it's a nice shot scene because I feel in the first one, I feel that the imagery that they're showing through the camera perfectly encapsulates fear. It perfectly encapsulates the coldness of what's going on. And in the second one, it's like this. Does she make it out? It's different. It puts you more on edge in a different sense. It puts you on the edge on which one's going to fold first. Is it going to be car? Is it going to be the ATST? Which one's going to end first? So
Yep.
I love the cinematography. For the most part, the cinematography in the show is good. Uh, other than the fact that in every episode, and I'm saying this for the episodes that we talked about and future ones, every single one, the establishing shots take forever to go through. Like it's like oh my god, man. But but if you just take that out, this episode is shot perfectly. I think that it is the script work in this is quality, but just a lot of things just didn't land for me, and a lot of things did. Though this is an, a good episode output compared to some other ones. I'd say this is a solid episode. This is good
I would
because
agree.
majority of the things did land.
I would agree. I think compared to episode 2, like we said, it had a similar amount of story stuff, but this one overall was more
Yeah,
entertaining. So
yeah.
I would
This
agree
one
there.
had more story stuff, I would say, because it does tell us a little bit more of Mando's backstory,
Yep.
and it does introduce and it introduces us a new character that does reappear up in the show.
Right. Which
And
that'll actually lead me into my last point here. So I actually really
yeah,
like her. I think her character's cool. I like the it's she's a female character that's not like, oh, I'm a female. Like I like
yeah,
it when
it's
they do
like
that
more
because it's
yeah,
like you're actually building a character. You're not just pushing an agenda. So I
Yeah,
like her
that's what
character.
that's. Mhm.
I like her inclusion. I think I like what they do with her later on, which I won't touch on yet. But this goes
Yeah,
back to kind of my complaint with IG-11 and Ugnaught. I wish they would have brought her on. I know the show is called Mandalorian, but this show really, other than Baby Yoda, if you can count him, this show lacks support characters, which
yep,
I would enjoy, like the traveling ensemble of like these people he's meeting on these planets, and
yeah, and then bring them along.
yeah, that's what I would have preferred to see out of this show, and I'll touch more on that in episode 6. But
Yeah,
that's all I got for episode 4.
like we see it. Like I will point to another show which I do not really like to do, but whether you like the shows or not, or if you're watching, it's like watching The Flash or a CW show, Arrow, any of those, right? How it's like, yes, we are following Oliver Queen, we're following Barry Allen as the Flash or Arrow, but there's all these other supporting characters that are also in the show. They are important. And
Yep.
that's what the show does lack up until the later episodes. Like throughout it, you see the supporting, like the Ugnaught, like IG-11, like Kara, but at this point they appear in one episode, 2 episodes if you're the Ugnaught,
Yep.
but you don't. There's nothing there, like for them to do really,
Yep.
and there's not. And with the Ugnaught, especially with the Ugnaught in the earlier half of this, in the earlier 2 episodes, uh, the 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 talking points, the things that they talk about between Mando and the Ugnaught, they aren't uh, they don't really do anything. Like at least with
Yep.
this one, it does. With in this episode when he's talking to Carr, like it does give us some backstory on the characters. It does tell us, oh, I thought you were after me because I abandoned whatever the hell or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and so it gives us, oh, she's also on the run. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense. Like I like the banter that they get into.
Right. Yeah.
and
Just
and
to.
like how you said with a women character, with a female character, not pushing an agenda. I have stated this to you multiple times. I've stated this to a lot of people multiple times. This is how you write a feminist character.
Yep.
You don't write it being like how Captain Marvel did. Again, I do not like to point at other things, but I have to make my analogy. In that movie, it was like I can't do this because I'm a woman, or I'm gonna show you I'm going to do this because I'm a woman, right? And in this, it's just like she's a woman. She's also a shock trooper. That's what it is. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I'm like, yes, that's how you show it. You don't drive. It's not. You're not driving attention to her being a woman. You just show it. You represent them being equal, and that's how you drive home the point. You know what I mean? Like, so you show early on she is an equal, and so I'm like, all
Definitely.
right, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm in. And I like again, she's my favorite character in this whole series. Like she is strong. I just wish they would have used her more, to
Yeah.
be
Definitely.
honest.
I definitely agree with
And
you.
she's a strong actor too. Like again, this is only like the second thing I've seen her in, really,
Yep.
because she was in
Never seen her
Deadpool.
before. Oh, she is.
Yeah,
Oh, she plays in the first one,
yeah,
right?
the stupid chick, the chick that Colossus fights, that her titty pops out.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
But Colossus does censor it,
Yep.
but yeah, that's her. And like I liked her in that. I thought she was a bit, like even though she is very one note in that movie,
Yeah.
I
Very
liked her in
one-dimensional.
it. I was like, she has something. Like she has that it. She has that like again like with like a Dave Bautista, Dwayne the Rock Johnson. A lot of people say like they have something about it. They have that like movie star quality, something that people like to watch them for. You know what I
Definitely.
mean? And so I'm like, I feel that for her. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but every time she's on screen, I'm intrigued and I'm interested and I'm dialed in. I'm dialed into what she is doing. So I'd
Definitely.
love to see more of her, which we do in later episodes. But yeah, I, that's pretty much it for episode 4, though, that I have.
All right. So
The idea of leaving Baby Yoda, I guess, I think is good. Like he's like, hey, I'm just gonna leave you here. Being with me is putting you in danger. Again, I
yeah.
was hoping that they were actually going to leave him. but
Same.
they didn't. So the bounty still being active for Baby Yoda, not for Mando, I thought was good in a
Right.
way.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
thought that's
Well,
cool, I guess. But
if
yeah, that's
that's
it.
all, then that'll do it. So this is going to be part one. We decided about maybe 15 minutes ago that this was going to be a two-part video. So we'll get to part two out soon. Later.